Hello gang and welcome, it's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com doing Tamriel A to Z in another video, this time on racial passives. 1.6 saw some updates to racial passives. I want to talk about them, each class, in specific detail, and then also give you some power combinations. I know a lot of you are new to the game or coming back, maybe you want to start a new character. You want to watch this video if you want to see what endgame characters are talking about, they would start re-rolling what they would pick and why. So stay tuned. I'm going to go through all the classes, all the races, and give you my opinion what I think is best. Let's get started. Before we get started showing you all the cool races and class combinations you can be in Elder Scrolls Online, you really need to decide what matters to you as a player. If the race you're choosing matters because of the look, maybe roleplay, or you want to be the top-notch endgame DPS in the game, make sure you know going into this. As me personally have experienced this, I picked a Nord because I thought I wanted to be a tank. 29 days later of gameplay, I have no offensive passes with my decision. So before you spend 500 plus hours on a character, make sure you pick the right race for you. One that matches your playstyle, what you enjoy, and why. There's currently 3 roles that you usually fulfill in an MMO. Damage dealer, a tank, which is someone who takes off all the pressure on the other players, and a healer, someone who just heals people. If you know what you're going to do going into this, pick something specifically to fulfill those roles that complements what you're going to do. If you don't know, that's okay too. Pick something that has a wide variety and can do a bunch of things good. So let's get started, but make sure you start thinking about what you want to be and why it's important to you. A couple caveats before we start picking our races and getting excited about playing the game is number 1, your race that you pick is determined by the faction or the alliance that you join up with. Currently, there's 3 alliances in the game. Daggerfall Covenant, called DC, Ebonheart Pack, EP, or Aldmeri Dominion, AD. These specific alliances have factions based on the lore and where they are in the Tamriel universe. I'm on ElderScrollsOnline.com, so you can go find this information for yourself under the game guide, Alliances, and it has the map of Tamriel as you can see it in game. So if you want to join an alliance and kind of read about what they have race-wise, you click on it. It talks about their leader, their history, and then the 3 races that you can be. And that's what we're going to cover. So real quick, Aldmeri Dominion can be High Elf, Wood Elf, Khajiit. Daggerfall Covenant, click on them. They can be Breton, Redguard, Orc. Ebonheart Pack, no idea why you want to play with them. They can be Nord, Dark Elf, Argonian. Now there is one missing, which is the Imperial. The Imperial is tied to the Imperial Edition only. It's a really, really powerful racial choice. So if you have the extra cash, think about upgrading. Another caveat too is if you buy the Explorers Pack, I think it's $5 or $10 right now on G2A, you can pick any race no matter what the faction. It's another thing you want to pick up if you have the extra cash, because you might have friends on Aldmeri Dominion, but you want to play an Argonian from the Ebonheart Pack. So those things are to consider before you start picking your race. First up, we have the Daggerfall Covenant's Breton, basically a hybrid of a human and an elf, making it a powerful magic user. The most notable passive to me is the Magicka Mastery, reducing the magic cost of spells by 3%. This makes a great healer or an offensive DPS type character, even a possibly a good tank with the passive that gives you spell resistance. So Breton is a strong choice for magical users in the DC area. Orcs are a strong race if you're looking to play a tank. They have an interesting passive with the Swift, reducing sprint cost by 12% and increasing sprint speed. It also increases damage on charge attacks, making it really cool if you want to use a two-hander DPS with a weapon-based stamina. So think about using Orc if you like that type of character, and they do look mean. If you want to roll Shrek, you need to pick an Orc. Redguards are the king or queen of stamina-based classes. They restore stamina when you hit someone, they have a massive increase to stamina, and their recovery in combat is simply amazing. If you like weapon-based classes, or maybe you want to tank and block heavily or dodge roll, Redguard is a strong choice. It's great for sustained damage, especially with weapon-based classes. First up for AD is the High Elf, probably the best magic base user in the game overall. With an increase to max magicka and increase to magicka recovery while in combat, you are a powerhouse caster. Not to mention elemental talent, which increases base damage with fire, frost, and shock. If you're looking for an all-around magic caster, pair it up with a Sork for a strong combination. The poor Wood Elves finally got a huge buff in 1.6. Now they have, on top of resistance and stealth, they have massive regeneration for stamina and combat, making them an excellent bow user, daggers, anything to do with a weapon. Not to mention a good PvP class considering they have disease resistance, so you won't get heal debuffed. Think about taking this if you'd like to play in the back range type DPS. Last but certainly not least, we have the Khajiit, the only class race in the game that has a weapon critical bonus, not to mention their stealthy bonus, which increases damage out of stealth. I love this on my Khajiit Nightblade, paired up with the class that hits like a truck. This thing is the hardest hitting, biggest critical possible in the game. So if you like to use weapon-based classes and you like burst, pair it up with the Khajiit race. The Argonians are the hippies of Elder Scrolls Online. They have a really cool passive that gives you back 6% of your max health, magicka, and stamina every time you drink a potion. This is a really interesting combination that you can pair up with the champion system passives and some of the other class passes to make an interesting build. I think a strong healer by heart, the Argonian is a good choice. Dunmer, the fire-breathing monster of destruction. These guys are meant to play Dragonite vampires. They have resistance, they have increased spell damage with fire effects, and a lot of magic. So if you're thinking about playing a magic-based DPS, really strongly suggest Dunmer. Last, we have the Nord, which makes an interesting build for tanks considering they're the only ones in the game that have reduced incoming damage by 6%. However, they don't have any real offensive advantage, making it kind of limited in roles. So for me, in my Dragonite endgame, I'm stuck with the Nord that only really benefits from tanking. So think about your other race choices before you pick a Nord. The Imperial, in my opinion, makes the best overall race pick. It has tons of health, tons of stamina. No matter what you're doing, you're going to need those things. Not to mention the passive Red Diamond gives you a chance for some self-healing. If you're in doubt and don't know what to pick, pick an Imperial. I'm telling you, it's worth the extra money. Plus, it can go so many ways, so much variety. I really like this, and that's what I use for my Imperial tank. I don't always play a Dragonite, but when I do, it's a Dunmer. And let me tell you why. I'm on the PTS public test server, and I want to show you the passive combination that you can get. It's a Dunmer Dragonite. If you go to the Kindling, increase the damage of flame abilities, burning effects. Not only that, but you have a Searing Heat, which basically adds the duration of your fire abilities, which all of these Ardent Flame are fire abilities, including Dragonite Standard, which is your ultimate. Now you pair that up racially with your Flame talent. Increases your spell damage with fire effects. Pump 3 points into that and you got 7%. Now, those are hitting 7% harder. Another thing you can do, pump points into your flame resistance. Now you have flame resistance, you can be a vampire and experience minimal of the downside of it and get 10% magic regeneration. So not only do you have tons of magic, you have better magic generation, you can be a vampire and still have some of the negative effects but avoid a lot of them and do a lot more damage. Taking it one step further, if you go in the champion system, there's even passes, and I'm probably in the wrong place, increases your flame, frost, and shock damage. You can put, 100 points into this, if you have that many, 25 more percent. So with the champion point system now, it's even more important that you pick the right race. And if I was going to go Dragonite DPS, I would pick a Dunmer for those reasons. For Nightblade, I would roll Khajiit. One of my most successful builds is one-shot Willy, based on doing a lot of damage in one-shot burst damage. That's what the Nightblade excels at, and specifically the Khajiit. So we're on my character, King Foltest, and I want to show you the combination that makes this racial pairing so devastating. As a Nightblade, I have Master Assassin passive, which increases weapon and damage, spell damage, while invisible or stealth by 10%. I pair that up with my Stealthy passive, increases damage done while in stealth. You can even go another step and get some gear called the Archer's Mine. That increases by 15%. Go even a step further, you go in the champion system. I'm in the wrong tree, but this tree increases the critical damage, your critical damage of your physical attacks. You can put 100% into this. That's 25 more percent. Going even another step further, you can go get the Shadow Mundus Stone, which I have steed, I don't know why. That Mundus Stone alone will increase the amount of your crit multiplier, if you will, making it probably the hardest hitting, most devastating combo in the game for burst DPS. And also another advantage of the Khajiit is you have the Carnage. Increases weapon critical by 6%. No one else has that, but it's weapon critical. That's why I think Khajiit Nightblades make the best bow or dagger users in the game. If you want to play a magical-based Sorc, I think the best pairing is High Elf. Let me tell you why. Sorcerers, by default, have a lot of advantage to use magic. A couple of the interesting abilities here reduces magic and stamina cost for all abilities. You put 2 points into that, you get 5. There's some also advantage for some using lightning, too, as you have more increased magic recovery. Add on top of that being a vampire, that's 10 more percent. With the removal of soft caps, you can cast spells all day long. Another thing here is Disintegrate passive, one of the most interesting passives in the game. Gives a shock spell a 6% chance to instantly disintegrate low health targets, basically doing 4,500 shock damage to them right away. You can instantly disintegrate people, making magic-based lightning staff users, Sorcs, amazing. Why does the race matter? The High Elf racial passive, Supercharge, get more magic recovery in combat, increase mass magicka, so you're going to hit harder, and increases damage with Fire, Frost, and or shock effects passively. That makes the High Elf the bread and butter caster, along with the class Sorcerer, giving you tons of advantage to make magicka. You can even tank with this class, keeping up your wards and your defensive armor for armor and spell resistance, leaving you room to do whatever you want. If you're going to play a Sorc, I highly recommend to play a High Elf. Last but definitely not least, we have the Templar. I think the Jack of all trades in Elder Scrolls 1.6 and beyond. The Templar can do anything well, but it does two things specifically well, and that's healing and also tanking. If you want to be the best tank in the game, I recommend going Imperial. The reason why is Imperial does cost a little extra money, so I understand not everyone's going to get that. But if you look at the passives, increase max health by 12%, that is just an enormous amount. An enormous amount. Also, the Red Diamond passive gives melee attacks a 10% chance to self-heal, not casting anything. Pair that with one of the coolest abilities in the game, Blazing or Radiant Shield. You surround yourself with the shield based off your max health. So if you wanted to build an ultra, I don't know, self-defense tank, like my Bubble Trouble build, you could pump so many points into health and or magic and get this huge ward on you to defend off people. Also, Templars make great tanks because they have so much utility, and having these rune focuses here, they can also self-heal, and they have basically endless stamina. They also make the best healers, hands down, because of Breath of Life. Really the true burst heal in the game. So if you were going to play a healer, I wouldn't recommend Imperial. I probably would recommend Breton. Breton has the ability to reduce magic cost by 3% passively. The more times you can hit Breath of Life, the more times you're going to save your party. So if you want the best, most safest choice to be is an Imperial, in my opinion, an Imperial Templar. If you're new to the game, Templar can do everything well. You can heal yourself, you can heal allies, you can use weapons, you can do magic. So if you're new to the game or coming back, I'm telling you, try out a Templar. It might not be the best at everything, but it's good at everything, including the Imperial. Now, if you don't have the Imperial Edition, Redguard is another really good choice. With all the stamina regeneration, pairs well with the passives from the Templar, doing weapon damage. If you don't have that, you can go Breton for the healing. If you don't want to do that, go High Elf. Anything goes well with a Templar, and that's what I recommend, and that's what I'm going to play in patch 1.6. Well, gang, we covered a lot today. We covered races. We covered why races mattered. I showed you the passives that are going to be in 1.6 and beyond. And I'm here on my website. The reason why is I can update this a lot easier than making new YouTube videos. I can't go back and edit them. So if you're looking for the latest information on racial passives, maybe some better power combinations, come to my site, deltiasgaming.com, go to class and skills, and pick race. So I hope you enjoy this video. Leave me some comments. What do you guys find as the most interesting or cool racial class combinations? As always, I appreciate you watching this video, and more to come in Tamriel A to Z.